Welcome to State of Tech. My name's Jared, and today we're taking a look at the Dell XPS 13 2-in-1. Now, I was in the market for one of these because I've realized over the last year or so that laptop isn't really a laptop to me anymore. You know, in order for me to get the kind of work done that I need to get done, I need something with a quad-core processor, lots of RAM, a good graphics card inside of it, and those end up being expensive, first of all, but also the battery life isn't so good. They're a bit heavier. They get warm. It's not a laptop anymore. It's more like a workstation, essentially. It's not necessarily meant to be a laptop, or I guess it is. It's just, for me, it becomes kind of useless. So I was turned on to this because I went down to a Best Buy and I was just looking around at some of the smaller stuff that they had there. I just wanted to see what was available and be able to get my hands on some of the different laptops that they had. Now, this 2-in-1, this is the 9365 XPS model. This is the 7Y75, so it is a dual-core i7 chip, but it's really optimized for battery life. And it has 16 gigs of memory, a 512 gig solid state. It has the beautiful Infinity display. It has just the fantastic Dell build quality. Everything about this laptop on paper just looked fantastic to me. Now, I was looking at other laptops. There's, Asus has a recent model, HP with the Spectra 360, and there are a lot of laptops in this space right now, these 2-in-1s that have decent specs. But I opted to go with the Dell because I wanted something that had the biggest display for the smallest footprint, which Dell with the Infinity display and the tiny bezels around the outside definitely gives you the most display that you could get in a small package. I wanted something small that I could use on my lap at home. This would be not my main computer. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get the majority of my work done with this. There was no way I'd be able to edit video on something like this. But the intent of it was to do the majority of my other work. So I end up configuring it, kind of getting it set up so that I could start working on it. And I've realized that this laptop is basically an internet machine, Word documents. It's not very powerful for what I typically would end up doing, even just my normal daily use. And I'll give it to the fact that having a lot of power in some of the other laptops that I've had has led me to, I guess not multitask, but have too many background processes going at the same time. I have too many tabs open in the browser. I have an email client running all the time, and my calendar app, and Slack, and several other applications running all the time. And this laptop just is not powered for something like that. This is meant for single tasks over a long period of time. The battery life has been fantastic. That is one thing that I absolutely like about this. In my normal use, even though it's a little bit heavier use than probably the average person purchasing this laptop, I've been able to get all day battery life out of this. And, it's fantastic. You cannot get that out of most other laptops. My MacBook Pro that I had prior to this definitely, maybe had a little bit more power and had good battery life too. But as far as Windows PCs go, battery life has always been a little bit more of a struggle for Windows machines than with Mac. And Dell really did a good job with what they put together here. For me, though, I find myself doing a few more tasks than I think probably what this machine is supposed to be capable of handling. I end up really kind of bogging the machine down by handing it too many tasks, by having too many tabs opened in my browser, by having a couple of other applications running in the background. It just ends up slowing it down quite a bit. And I think that I may need more of a traditional i7, even a dual core chip, like a U series chip, probably would be fine for me. But what this is intended for, what this laptop is intended for, is the person who wants something small and compact with really good battery life that can do some light to moderate internet usage in browsers. They can use Slack. They can use their email client. They can watch a video. Opening up this laptop and going into tablet mode, I mean, it feels really good to hold in a tablet mode. I'm not a fan of having like the keyboard and the trackpad and all that stuff behind me when I'm holding it. It just doesn't feel right. For watching media, I think it would be really good to have it this format. You can set it in your lap. The keyboard isn't, hanging out. You could set it in your lap or lean it up against something and watch a video on it. And I think, it would just be a great experience. So, what's my overall consensus for this laptop? I mean, it's a laptop. It's a 2-in-1. It has touchscreen. It's a very well-built machine. It's very nice. I don't think that it can be a work machine. This is more of a light use machine. I don't think that you can survive an entire day on this unless you're single tasking it. I found that it single tasks really well. If I have a browser opened, and maybe just Slack running in the background, I have no problems. The thing runs great. One tab in a browser, maybe 2 tabs if I'm jumping around a little bit. But if I try to open a couple of, the productivity applications that I use and a note-taking tab and just try to have a couple of processes going, it's just too much for it to handle, and it ends up really bogging the machine down. So this is a perfect machine to supplement having something more powerful, depending on your use. Now, you may be watching this and thinking like, well, all I do is browse one website at a time, and I may, watch a YouTube video or something on Netflix. This is going to be perfect and more than enough power for you. Yes, there are cheaper machines with similar specs, but those cheaper machines typically don't have quite as good of build quality. Dell obviously just has really been known with their XPS line for having professional looking quality machines with beautiful displays. Keyboard feels great. Trackpad is fantastic. Battery life is fantastic. Even the power brick isn't too big on this, and there is a little plug that requires to go into the wall. I even have a display that is a USB-C display. So, the typical connection for a monitor like HDMI or something like that. This one is USB-C only, and I can go USB-C right in to this laptop, and it charges the laptop. It's connected to the monitor, and I also can use USB devices in the back of my monitor, which connect here. I did notice that this machine isn't quite capable of having too many USB devices connected to it at once. That's a limitation of the processor. A lot of times these smaller processors have less lanes available for input-output. So, if you're going to use this connected to other stuff, I recommend Bluetooth keyboard, Bluetooth mouse, and then you are still able to connect a couple of USB devices to this, such as a USB card reader or, some other sorts of peripherals that you might use. So overall, a fantastic laptop. Underpowered for me, but I kind of knew that going into this. I knew that this was going to be less powerful than a U-series processor, that the graphics card on it just was going to be really weak. This was a device that I wanted for my lap so that I can use in the comfort of my home, in my downtime, when I'm on an airplane or anything like that. I've yet to determine whether or not I'm going to hang on to it because I don't like to have too many machines because then things just aren't where they need to be when I need them. And typically I do end up needing a little bit more horsepower. I may end up jumping over and trying something with a U-series processor to see if that's going to be enough power and still keeping a smaller form factor in the size of the laptop. So that's going to do it for my review or my overview, I guess, of the Dell XPS XPS 2-in-1 13. Thanks so much for checking out this video. If you have any questions or thoughts about this laptop, leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure to head over to stateoftech.net so you can see some more photos of this beautiful little machine, and also on our Instagram, which is @stateoftech. Take care, and we'll see you soon.